amongst all the draft rumors, like, who are we going to take at quarterback, who are we going to take at defensive end, defensive line, secondary and stuff like that, there's still staff hirings happening around the NFL. Head coaching jobs and GM jobs have already been filled. Now we're looking at the position coaches, the offensive line, the defensive line coach, the secondary coach, the quarterbacks coach and stuff like that. And the Minnesota Vikings addressed one of their positions on the roster or on their coaching staff today by hiring a guy that was previously a Denver Bronco and actually played in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Jets. It was a small stint, nothing massive, but he's in the coaching role now. And from what I hear, a close source, I guess you could say, shout out the Broncos Syndicate for helping me out here with some knowledge, because this is where the guy came from. He came from Denver. Basically, what you're going to get out of this guy is he develops these young guys really, really nicely, and is able to help out the edge rushers to the best of his ability. It's a good signing for the Vikings, he said. He said, look, as far as you guys getting him, that's great, pump for you, but as far as watching him go, I don't really bat an eye at it. I'm more concerned about whatever he was concerned about at the time. But look, this is a good hire for us. Before we get into it, make sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a like down below. So, per Ben Gosling, the Vikings hired former Broncos defensive line coach Marcus Dixon to be their defensive line coach. He replaces Chris Rumpf, who left the coaching staff for Clemson last season. They also made assistant head coach Mike Pettin, their outside linebackers coach. A source confirmed they're parting ways with Mike Smith, which is good for our defense. That means we're looking to make that defensive line at least a force of nature, especially when we're going to have young guys in there. Like going into this year's draft, I think a lot of us are assuming we're going to take an edge rusher like Dallas Turner, I believe, from the University of Alabama, or we're looking at Byron Murphy II, the defensive tackle from Texas, which bringing those guys in here, if this coach Marcus Dixon is able to help out these young guys, get them ready for the game of the NFL and just improve them day after day, this is a massive hire. This is a good time or a good hire for the Minnesota Vikings. So who is this Marcus Dixon fellow? Well, let's get to know him just a little bit. Now, Dixon spent the past 2 seasons as the Denver Broncos defensive line coach and brings 6 years of collegiate and professional coaching experience to head coach Kevin O'Connell's staff. He entered the NFL coaching ranks with the Los Angeles Rams in 2021 as assistant defensive line coach, joining a staff with none other than our head coach, Kevin O'Connell, who was the offensive coordinator at the time. Now, in his second season with Denver in 2023, Dixon coached a defensive line that helped the Broncos record a league-leading 15 fumble recoveries, the most in franchise history since collecting 16 back in 2007, which is massive because that's one thing our defense didn't do this year, which we usually do in the past, was turnovers, create turnovers, get interceptions, cause fumbles, and stuff like that. That's the type of experience this guy brings in. Hopefully he can help us get right back on the right track, if you will. Now, the defensive line also contributed to the Broncos limiting their opponents to a 33.2% conversion rate on third downs. Okay, that's the second lowest percentage league-wide in 2023, trailing only the Cleveland Browns, who had a 29.13% stopping or conversion rate on third down, which is massive. I really like this hire, especially if we're looking at the draft going, okay, probably going to take a defensive guy, definitely going to take a quarterback, most likely either with the 11th overall pick or in the second round. But if we go defensive line guy, bring in this Marcus Dixon fellow who is known to, make these younger athletes, these younger, defensive linemen a little bit better and make it easier to transition in the NFL. That's massive, especially when we're looking at the turnover rate. 15 fumble recoveries is huge. Now, a lot of that has to do with, people punching the ball out. So we have to figure a way to get our guys to do that, and hopefully the defensive line can do that as well with the Daniil Hunter, hopefully still on the team at that time, DJ Wanham, Harrison Phillips at that defensive tackle position. If we draft one of those guys like a Dallas Turner or a Byron Murphy Jr. Out of Texas, or Byron Murphy II, out of Texas, this is a good hire. I like it. Don't really know much about the guy other than I hope we see what this hiring brings to the team when we watch them live next season, week in and week out, saying, hey, the defensive line is looking a little bit better than it did last year, and the pairing with Brian Flores is really, really massive for us. It's a good time help, good time hire. New defensive line coach for the Minnesota Vikings and Marcus Dixon. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of the night, folks. and Skull Vikes.